Joining us tonight is Alaska Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski. She's a member of the Senate Subcommittee on Defense and Homeland Security, as well as the author of a new book on her more than 2 decades in Congress. It's called Far From Home. An Alaskan senator faces the extreme climate of Washington, D.C. Senator Murkowski, thank you so much for being on Top Story tonight.
Thanks, Tom. Good to be with you.
Yeah, let's start with the announcement by President Trump just less than an hour ago on this ceasefire. Do you believe this ceasefire deal, or the announcement at least, to be real?
Well, we are taking everything as it is coming. Just mere hours ago, I was on another show where literally coming in through the ear of the newscaster was the news of the strike in Qatar. A few hours later, I'm back here with you, and now the announcement, the news is about a ceasefire. So there is much that is in play. I think we all want to believe that, in fact, we are moving towards a better place, that there is a ceasefire that will hold, and this situation that we're seeing will de-escalate and de-escalate rapidly, so that that negotiations can really proceed.
Senator, when did you find out about the plan to strike Iran? If you can share that information with our viewers, and do you feel you were given sufficient information and time about the strikes as a member of Congress and as of one of only 2 people that represents Alaska in the Senate?
Well, I found out about it, as most Americans did, by receiving the news that popped up on my phone when it really was first announced by the president, by the administration.
Do you feel like you should have known more?
No advance. Well, in fairness, we are going to be getting a full classified briefing tomorrow. I think that is going to be important. It's going to be telling. Do we all want to know more? Absolutely. But I think that there was an element that required a level of just closeness in terms of the information being closely held.
Yeah.
I understand that. I get that. But I think it is going to be imperative going forward that we fully understand what led up to the decision, and then, more importantly, where we go next. Really, where we go next.
When we talk about the president's strikes over the weekend against Iran, one of the most vocal critics of the strikes, it's a member of your own party, Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie. He's essentially been saying that Trump campaigned against getting into wars and that the Republicans are afraid to stand up to him. How do you respond to that?
Well, I don't think any of us want to get into a war, and certainly we don't want to get into a long, protracted, yet another forever war in the Middle East. And so I would join, but I think that the president has made clear himself he has no desire for a long, drawn-out war. So let's acknowledge none of us want that. So how are we going to, again, back things down so that negotiations can proceed? The first step is a bona fide ceasefire. So what was announced just within this past hour. Hopefully, we will see that holds. That's what we're hoping for.
We all hope that. Senator, you and the president have had a contentious relationship, right? He's called you a creature of the Washington swamp. He actively campaigned against you in 2022. How would you describe your relationship with President Trump?
You know, I think that there is a level of respect. As I've shared with the president, you know, I might not have voted for you, but I will work with every president that we have. It's my responsibility as an Alaskan senator. I don't get to pick and choose who I get to work with. I work who the American people have said is going to be our president, and I do just that. And I represent a state that is pretty independent. They supported Donald Trump, absolutely. But they sent me back. So as I've shared with him, I said, sir, you won and I won. You want to do good things for the country. I want to do good things for my state. Let's figure out how we make it happen. And I think that kind of mutual respect, you can get some things done.
Is it hard to be in the president's crosshairs when you're fighting for the people of Alaska and federal resources? And a lot of times in Alaska, as you mentioned throughout your book, you got to be bipartisan.
You have to be bipartisan, but again, I don't think it should suggest that I'm in his crosshairs all the time. Maybe when it came to the campaign, but again, the campaign is over. I've now been reelected. We're working together. He's got some pretty ambitious agenda items for Alaska, and they're items that I share. I encourage him on much of what he is proposing with resource development, and I have shared just that with. So when we can find those areas to be working together, we need to do it. We must do it, not just for Alaska, but for the country.
Yeah, you made some news earlier today on a podcast, leaving open the door to possibly becoming an independent and caucusing with the Democrats. At least that's the way it sounded. Let's listen to it. I want to get your reaction on the other end.
Is there a world in which, by becoming unaligned or an independent, you could help Alaskans, that you consider it?
There may be that possibility. I'm evading your answer, of course, but because it is so supremely hypothetical, but you can tell that the construct that we're working with right now, I don't think is the best construct.
And that answer seemed reminiscent of a key line in your book. I want to show it to our viewers here. This comes straight from your book. You write, "Most likely, I will never be understood in Washington. The best gift that Alaskans have given me is that I don't have to answer to Washington." What is it about Alaskan politics that you believe allows you to not necessarily play by the rules of Washington? Because as far as Republicans go, you were pretty brave to say that.
Well, I don't think it's any great secret here that my commitment is not necessarily to the Republican Party. It is to the people of the state of Alaska. And I put that out there every single day in saying that's who I work for. I don't work just for Republicans. I don't work for the Republican Party. I work for the people of the state of Alaska. And so there's been a lot of news that has broke today. I am not going to make news on your show tonight, Tom, by saying that I'm leaving the Republican Party. That's not going to happen. I am very independent-minded. Alaskans respect that. They've asked me to continue my service in that very independent vein. But my values are still the values that I have long held. And they're values that are very much Republican, whether it is personal responsibility, individual liberties, strong national defense. I mean, that part of it hasn't changed.
Yeah,
so,
but I just to be clear, I want to sort of put a bookend on this and ask you one more thing about your book. You're not considering leaving the Republican Party, right?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. What I shared on the podcast is there is a construct that we have right now where we have two parties that pretty much control everything, and you are either on the red team or you're on the blue team. And it doesn't seem like there's much space in the middle for those who just want to put party politics aside and say, what are we going to do that's good for the country, that's good for Alaskans, that's good for the people back here on the East Coast? Let's work towards that. Let's get out of the partisan ruts that we have just found ourselves
Senator,
in.
running out of time, but I do want to point this out. I want to ask you about something you put at the beginning of your book. This is the image. It's a graphic that comes even before the introduction of your book. It's an image of Alaska superimposed over the continental United States. Why did you want to start your book with this image?
People need to understand the size and extent of the place that I call home. We stretch from Florida to California to the Gulf to all the way practically to the Canadian border. And so the people that I represent are just as diverse as those from Florida to California to Minnesota to Louisiana. And I'm blessed with that. It's a hard job. It's complicated. It's complex, but it's the best thing that I could possibly be asked to do is to help serve Alaskans.
Senator Murkowski, we thank you for joining Top Story. Your book is out. We appreciate your time. We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.